Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Relentless Goal Achievers podcast. I almost said lead, sell, grow. Oh my God. Something I got to get used to, but I got an amazing guest with me. She is my sister from a different mister. She is the very first life coach I hired back in 2014, I believe. And she changed my life. So it's an honor. She was one of the very first guests I had on the show back like 3 years ago when we started the podcast, and it was Lead Sell Grow. But we're way better now than we were then. And so I'm honored to have Julie Reisler, the life designer, the author of Get a PhD in You and Get a PhD in You Business Edition, the host of the You-est You podcast. Yes, You-est You podcast. Julie Reisler. Julie, welcome to the show, my dear.
Oh my gosh, I could not be smiling anymore. It's like starting to hurt my cheeks. That's how much I'm smiling. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm
So
smiling
excited.
too. I'm so excited to be here with you. And you know what? I'm gonna extend this introduction a little bit because I think your credentials are just like through the roof. Most of the time when you guys see a life coach or coach, it's one of those fields that has really low barrier to entrance. Like anybody can just say, I'm now a life coach. And there's a lot of 19-year-old life coaches running around. And
Yeah.
nobody knows, like, well, what does that mean? How did you become a life coach? Did you just wake up and God kind of whispered in your ear, hey, fella, you're a life coach? Let me just read to you. I went on your website. I literally copied and pasted. Okay. These are actual certifications that Julie has that qualify her to be a life designer. And we're going to jump into it. So, number one, master's degree, health and wellness coaching from the University of Maryland of Integrative Health. Okay. She's a professor at Georgetown University for their coaching program. So if you wanted to go through a leadership coaching certification through Georgetown, Julie would be teaching that course. All right. National Board of Certification of Health and Wellness Coaches, NBC, HWC. I don't even know what those are. Sounds important. Heart facilitator. I don't know what a heart facilitator is, but Julie's going to tell us. That's from the Heart Math Institute. Graduate coaching certification in health and wellness from Maryland University. That's also from their integrative health division. Bachelor's degree in psychology and public health, University of Rochester. Graduate certificate for organization development from Georgetown University. Associate coach certificate, International Coaching Federation, that's the ICF. She's a certified practitioner in the completion process. This is the healing process by Teal Swan. Certified exchange facilitator, certified Myers-Briggs practitioner, certified workplace excellence facilitator, and certified Am I Hungry? This is mindful eating facilitator. And I noticed you didn't put anything for Landmark here, which I know you've done a ton of work through and was pretty high up through Landmark as well. Probably ran out of room on the website. So when we're talking about life designer, trust me, Julie's been through so much education. She's worked on herself. She's worked with so many people to help them design their life that she is credible enough to listen to. And if you're looking for a coach and you don't know where to start, go to juliereisler.com, check her out. And I'm a coach and I'm telling you to go check her out because she is that incredible. So, Julie, what is a life designer?
Yeah. And first of all, like I'm just laughing. I thank you for for sharing that. It's funny when I hear it, I'm like, my gosh, I'm like certifiably certified. I'm super certified. Like I love learning. I love using this work. The truth is coaching has changed my life. I would even say in some ways saved my life. And for me, that journey started over 20 years ago. I worked with my first coach about 16 years ago. Literally, this coach, it was so powerful, Eric. that I had that moment of like, I literally felt like I was seeing the world in through different eyes. And so it's been a passion. It's my purpose. The goal is to help others to design their best life. And so as I got started, I mean, I left my day job, 10 years ago, my story, I left it, single mom at the time. Like, this was not something, first of all, at that time, 10 years ago, people were like, you're coaching what? Like, it had not caught on yet. People are like, oh, you're coaching like soccer or like ballet or people, like, what are you doing? And I was like, no, no, I'm coaching people in their life. And so I thought, I got to come up with a way to explain this that is not just coaching because it's getting confused.
Mhm.
So I thought, okay, what are we doing? Well, you hire an architect, right, to design your home, to build your home. You hire an interior designer to design the interior of your home. And I was like, oh, I'm doing the interior work of yourself. So I thought, oh, I'm helping people to design their life because the truth is, we do get to design it. Oftentimes we think we don't. We think that we are in a situation that just is, it just has to stay that way. And we don't realize we're actually the drivers in the drivers in the seat, in the front seat of the car, or we're the architects. And so life designer really, it's about you get to design your best life. It's why I use that terminology. And I think it is probably one of the most important things we can do because it's either you're living life by design or it's going to design you, it's by default.
But you're not really the life designer. Like, I can't call you, and I wouldn't call you and say, hey, Julie, my life sucks and I'd like for it to look like Lionel Messi's life, right? And here you come like an architect with a blueprint. That's not what happens.
It's a great point. So the idea is we all have our own inner blueprint, our own inner map, our goals, right? And I was gonna say queen. You are king at this. You are king.
Wait,
I'll be
what
the
day is
queen of
it? What day is
it.
it? I might be queen today.
You're the king. You're the king of goals and relentlessly achieving them and going after them. And so designing your life is personal to it's specific to each person. So that blueprint, that is part of what as a coach slash life designer I do is listen for what are you on fire about? What's inside what's a dream? What's a goal? What's something that you really, really want to accomplish or manifest or experience that either you're not because of doubt, because of you feel stuck, because of stories you're telling yourself, or you feel scared. You don't think you can do it. So you've pushed it down. And to design a life that you love, to have that blueprint, to be the architect, sometimes you have to kind of like find actually what it is you want to bring forth, you want the goal that you want to achieve. Sometimes we hide it from ourselves, or we become despondent, or we, like you've said, become the sort of, you look like the happy clown, but you're not, and you're going through life on that default mode, where you're not really looking at what is it that I'm actually committed to? What am I really doing here? Or addiction or other things that get in the way of truly saying, all right, I actually have this one lifetime and I want to leave a legacy. I want to make an impact. I want to do things I love. I want to support my family and the community. And it's not going to happen by yourself. I can tell you that right now. It doesn't happen by yourself. It's crucial to get support. And that is why I'm obsessed with this work. I have a coach, and having someone help me design my life, my best life. And we need that support and accountability. We're not meant to do life alone. That's my belief, at least.
Okay. Why can't, like, all the certificates that you have that are listed out, why can't you just coach yourself?
Such a good question because, and I do use a lot. I mean, when you read it off, I was like, yeah, I've done a lot of training. That's actually
Yeah, you did.
crazy. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I remember. Yep. So everything I've studied helps me in my own lifetime, right? In reframing and looking for the gifts and the lessons. But there is something known as a blind spot. We all have them. So if you're in a car and you're driving, this just actually happened. I was on a trip with my family. We were in Maine and I literally was like, oh, yep, it's not my I have a card that like shows the blind spot. This card did not. And I almost like missed the car next to me. And I was like, oh shoot, there's the blind spot. We have blind spots. We cannot see at all times areas within ourselves in our life that might be pushed down, or that we just can't see within ourselves something that's getting in our way, a story, a belief, something that is not necessarily true but feels true. It's so important to get this, because we walk around thinking like, oh, I know the answer. You might know a lot of answers, but oftentimes you're going to be missing something, because we cannot fully see in it from a 360 perspective everything that's going on with ourselves. And we often, because we are interpreting life, we take situations and we make stories and meaning of them. We're meaning making machines. That was one of the first
Oh, yeah.
things I learned. Yeah, meaning making machines. And when we do that, we're human. We're going to uh, miss out or misdefine something, or it's just that blind spot is inevitable. So you want to have somebody that can literally help you see things that you're not seeing, see the gifts and the strengths, see where you might be getting in your own way, where you might be sabotaging yourself. It's so important. And even just being open to saying, you know what, I realize I cannot fully see all aspects of who I am. It really is, it's a gift to have someone help me see these blind spots. Once you see it, it's not a blind spot. And that's where transformation happens.
That's so cool. What's the last blind spot your coach helped you uncover?
Oh gosh, I have a lot of different kinds of blind spots. I'm like, which one? Well, I'll tell you one. I mean, I'm a real deal. I'll tell you like vulnerably. I This is kind of sound funny. I am very purpose driven. You know me really well. We like our family from, I don't know, lifetimes ago. And going through a lot of challenges in my life, this work is really important to me. I really feel like this work that we do as coaches and helping to really go after your goals and live them, I actually think it's healing work. I think that when you're feeling aligned and happy and on purpose, you're healthier, you're happier, you're kinder. I think it does change the world. It may not be obvious at first, but I've seen it in my own life. And I was saying to my coach, I just feel like, you know, I haven't done this yet. And I said to you, I haven't been on Oprah yet. And I haven't written a New York Times bestseller. And I had this like blind spot that I'm not doing enough. It's not enough. And she had me look at, like, literally do an inventory of everything that I've been working on and doing and that I'm, committed to. And I was like, I'm exhausted looking at this list. I am doing a lot. Am I exactly where I see in my visions? No, and that's great, because it keeps growing. If you told me this 10 years ago, I would have my own business and not be working for a corporate day job, getting salary and free, I don't eat muffins, but free coffee, whatever, and salads, I would have said like, no way, how's that going to happen? So those goals are constantly evolving. But one of my blind spots is not enough. And I have to be careful, because if I don't really get that if I don't look at what's happening, what I am doing, I can start to feel that lack. And that translates to everything. How we think, our consciousness is going to permeate everything. How we do one thing is how we do everything. So I saw that and I'm like, oh gosh, where else am I feeling not enough? And I could see it in all different areas. It was so powerful.
Wow. Why is that feeling so important?
Yeah, the feeling of feeling enough, you mean? Or
Well, no, like the fact that you're not feeling, you mentioned, I feel like I'm not enough, and it
yeah.
shows in other ways, but you're still doing everything you need to do. Why is it important to take care of that feeling?
Yeah. Well, first of all, actually, I think when I came to your group, we talked about this. We have this incredible gift of what's called emotions. And for a long time, I mean, I share this very openly. For a long time, like anything that was in the, like, what you would consider a negative emotion, like frustration, grief, sadness, envy, not good enough, like all of those emotions, I don't like to feel them. I didn't like them. So to not have to deal with them, I would just block them by, I consider myself a recovering food addict. Like, I would use sugar and food. Many people do and may not even realize it, or other things to kind of numb out. Right. That's where addiction can fall in. And even if you're not an addict, it could just be, I'm numbing out with social media. I'm numbing out with gossiping, with watching TV, with, you know, treating myself or eating in a way that's not helping me to be my best. So I had to really learn how to have all of those emotions and realize they don't mean anything about you. They are a messenger. They're saying something. They're here. You know, I'm a big fan. I think it was Glennon Doyle who wrote about this in one of her books, about this idea of, you know, your emotions are like gifts. They're like Amazon gift packages. And I love Amazon gift packages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get a lot of them. That's another conversation.
We
But
had a hurricane last night and there was an Amazon gift package. And I'm like, these guys are relentless. They're relentless goal achievers.
wow, I meant to ask you how you're doing. I didn't realize it affected
Fine.
you, but
We got the tail end pretty much in the outskirts, but yeah,
oh,
just
thank
have
goodness.
some wind and rain, but we didn't even lose power. So probably luckier than most others who are
Yeah.
further west and north.
Oh, sending love to everyone in the
Absolutely.
great state of Florida. Yeah, well, and emotions can be like hurricanes, right? They can like come in and wreak havoc. And the thing is, though, it's important to go through and allow them to be there. And so for me, when I have that feeling of not enough, usually it's not just not enough in my business. It's also typically in other areas. It's just as human beings. One of the things I learned early on in human development, we don't really parcel it out and separate it. So if I'm feeling not enough in my goals in my business, I know to look, and this is where I can do a little bit of self-coaching. Where else am I doing that? I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like that a little bit, you know, as a parent. Like I didn't go to all the games. I didn't, you know, I could list for you all the ways that I'm, you know, quote unquote, not enough. The problem is now it's great to have a healthy sense of what's happening and what I'd like to change. But when you start creating a perspective, a mindset, so I know that can be a dangerous territory if I keep staying in that not enough, because now that's how I'm looking at the world. And that's lack consciousness that affects prosperity and finances, that affects business, that affects how I'm being. And so I'm really aware when I start to feel that not enough. That's one that comes up for me. And the root of that is often, am I comparing myself? Right. I'm just coaching myself here for you right now.
Yeah. Have a
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah. Have a seat with me as I tell you. But you know, this is the gift of this work. I will journal with myself. And we know journaling is so crucial in addition to working with a coach. And I can see, okay, yeah, I'm making it mean this. I'm comparing myself. That does not work well. Why would I ever compare myself to Tony Robbins? That's crazy. That's crazy talk. First of all, I love Tony. I love other coaches. I love many people. I love people. And it's like, look at nature, look at the trees. They don't compare themselves. Like, just be who I am so I can see what's underneath that comparison, feeling like somehow maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm not measuring up. I mean, all of these faulty beliefs that if you don't look under the hood, you're going to keep doing your life like this and then fall into victimhood. And I'm a big fan of, well, I'm not a fan of being a victim. I'm a big fan of saying I get to be in charge of my life. That's what we do. We all get to. Anything that you don't like right now that's happening in your life that's manifesting, that's where a coach can be helpful to help you look and say, okay, let's look at that. And so I do that with myself all the time.
What's interesting to me is there's so many things that you said here that can be missed, right? So number one is we're meaning making machines. So we make meaning out of this. And what a lot of people will do, I believe, is if they feel this emotion of I'm not enough, or I'm a terrible business owner, or I never get stuff done on time, or I'm always late, or what happens is they look at their reality, and that is evidence enough to justify that emotion.
Yeah.
And what we say, us enlightened people, right, who are way operating at a higher level of awareness, who are way better than everybody else, right?
I'm like, right
I'm
now
kidding,
and
I'm
trying.
kidding, I'm kidding.
You're so funny.
But the level of awareness does have a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
And for those of us who have done the work and have that level of awareness, we're able to just pause for a second. And that's the key, is the pause and say, what's creating that? Is it the reality that's creating my thoughts and feelings? Or is it my thoughts and feelings that are creating my reality? And as hard as that is to believe, most of the time it's the thoughts and feelings that create the reality. So if we change how we think and feel and the meanings we assign to things,
Yeah.
we change our reality. Is that correct?
100%. It's kind of like this. And I like this metaphor. You're in a movie, you're watching a movie, you don't like the movie that's on there. You don't like what you're watching. If you go up to the screen and you try to like cut the screen or like you're not changing anything. You're just actually damaging the screen, right? Like that's not going to change the movie. You want to change the clip, you've got to go to the projector, you got to take the film out and you've got to like splice it and find the place you want to go to. So you've got to go to the source. And this actually, brings in an aspect which is about source. If it's cool to go there, because I think number one, to answer what you said, you've got to change it at the root cause, which is both it's the thoughts and it's also the way that you're processing those feelings and the way you're making meaning. That is where a coach, someone who's trained and skilled, not who just says they're a coach. And maybe there are people that are really good that just say that. So I don't know. I will say having a training or being trained in some way like is important because you're also working with, somebody's story and their life and frankly, their energy field. The piece that I've found to be very powerful in going to the root and to the source and to the meaning aspect. And by the way, meaning making machine, I want to just give credit that I learned that through Landmark. That was one of the first things I learned. And I was like, damn,
that was
really
powerful.
powerful. Oh yeah. I was like, we are meaning making machines. My husband and I, who's done it now too, finally, I didn't took a little time, but we talk all the time about this. We're like, oh, we just made meaning. I made meaning of that. Okay, hold on. Let me make a new meaning because I don't like that meaning.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Can I just play a little, not just for people to understand who
Yeah.
are listening or watching it? I'm just gonna give you a scenario, all right? Women, we'll start with women. You're going on a hot date with your husband or your boyfriend, whoever, your partner, and you're upstairs. You've taken an hour and a half to do your hair, your makeup, you put on that dress. You look stunning, you feel great. You come downstairs, your partner is waiting for you on the couch. He looks up and says, "Is that what you're gonna wear?" What goes through your mind at that point?
I feel like we just shifted into a dating / like a whole different thing, but that's fun. I'm going to go there. That is hysterical. I'll tell you right now, my husband, if he were here next, we'd be like, do I look stupid? Would I ever say that to Julie? No.
No, but in
No.
reality, it could mean,
Yeah.
let's just look at it, right? From a
Yeah.
guy's perspective, maybe you're running 15 minutes late and he's frustrated, wants to
Yeah.
be out the door, and he's got like this huge surprise planned, and you got to be
Yeah.
somewhere at a certain
Yeah.
time. And now you're running
Yeah.
late. And he's like,
Yeah.
that's what you're wearing. You finally made up your mind. Can we go now? Right.
Yeah.
Or, hey, is that what you're wearing? Like,
Yeah.
just,
So like, how would I handle that? Or, as a meaning making machine, look,
I just wanted to show that
yes.
there's people on like, you're gonna assign a meaning to that. Oh, he thinks I don't look good. He doesn't like it. He thinks I'm
Yes.
fat. I'm skinny. Blah blah blah. Right? All these things, but none
Yeah.
of them are true except for in your mind.
Exactly. Like there's actually no truth to it anyhow, because that's a perspective coming from the other person. We don't exactly know what that is intended to mean. Right. It could be like, we just need to get going. It looks great. Is that what you're wearing? Like, just pick it. Like, let's, yeah, that sounds about right.
How would you handle that though? You come downstairs, Keith asks you that question.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to imagine because he's got high EQ and he knows me really well. So if he said that, he'd probably say, "Okay, that's what you're wearing?" So if he said it like that, I'd be like, "This is what I'm wearing. I'm doing it. We're going. I'm ready. I know I'm late. I'm sorry." I would take ownership for being late. If he thought well, he has said it before when we've done certain events, and he's like, "Nah, it might be a little much for what we're doing." Honestly, what I've said is, yes, yeah, I'm going to wear this because I'm choosing to wear this. That's it. I mean, this is now though. I mean, what I've said 15 to 20 years ago, it would not have been that. So I'm sure there'd be a time if it really was like, he didn't like it, I would be like, you don't like it. is it bad? I'm sure I could get into that. I just, at this point, I've kind of trained myself where I'm like, if I like what I'm wearing,
Yeah.
I don't really care. It's too bad.
Yeah. And but a lot
Yeah.
of people would assign a meaning to that. So
Oh
that's what we're
yeah.
talking about, meaning making machines. Somebody didn't invite you
Yeah.
to a party.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
all your friends getting together Friday night on Facebook and you didn't get an invite.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind? Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
We make that.
stories?
Yeah.
Right? They don't like me. They don't want to be my friends. Nobody told me about this. Blah blah blah. I've that happened to me before. This was like
Mm.
I was one of the last ones to switch over to Apple, and all my friends had iPhones and I had my Galaxy. Some text messages, the group text messages, some of them didn't get to the Galaxy, they got to the iPhones. I would see these like dinners and I would see, and I would get so pissed. These are
Yeah.
like my friends that I grew up with. I'm like, what the hell? Like, you guys aren't inviting me. And this, I finally said something. They're like, you're an asshole for never responding to our invites. Look.
Oh my
Told me
gosh.
where I'm recorded. I
Yes.
just never got the message. But I already had these stories that my friends don't want to be friends with me. They don't like me. They don't invite me. Right.
Yeah.
So meaning making machines. All right, Julie, sorry, I'll let you pick it up.
Yeah. And I'll say, and I don't know if you want to go into this, but, we also all have now, there's a lot of ways to talk about what the ego is. But I will say that protecting side, we have it. It's part of who we are as human beings. It really, you can think of it as like like age 4 to 8, that part of you that is wants you to be safe and protective. And so that part can sometimes come up as well. Like, that's hurting my ego. That's hurting that side of me that thinks they don't like me. I had this recently and I found out that I wasn't invited because the person didn't want to put pressure on me because she's like, you're so busy. I didn't want to put any pressure. I would love you to come, but I know you usually are not able to make things. And I was like, actually, that's true. That's pretty spot on. So I appreciate the thought. So we do this though, and it's good to understand, just like we have blind spots, we make meaning of everything. So this idea of, judging and judgments, this is, we do this. This is how we make, it's how we understand the world around us. The thing is that we sometimes forget to challenge it, look at it, like really pick it up and say, okay, is that true? Is that serving me or anybody? Is there possibly another way to look at this? Like, got to be really careful. And that's what happens. That's part of where you get blind spots.
Love it. So Julie, so when you start working with somebody, why do people usually come to you? Like what are some reasons that
Yeah. There's, what I would say, I tend to bring in or attract high achieving entrepreneurial types, not always, women and men that have a greater dream or goal that's like been living in them for a while and feels kind of like it's getting stale and moldy, and it's starting to, the way I describe it is like the light that might have been there at one point feels like it's dimming. And it might be something has happened, like a health crisis or an event or something in their life. And it's like, you know what? Life is precious. I do not want to miss out on being who I really am. That's my whole, being your You-est You is really tapping into your higher self, your purpose, your goals, why you came here. I think of this all the time because we get one life, really, at least as ourselves in this life, get one life. And I just, that I think the thing that I see for myself too is I would never ever want to get to the end of this, hopefully in a long time, and feel like I missed out or I didn't go for it or I didn't get to express. Like, think about it as all these Amazon gift packages in you wanting to be expressed. And you can think of it however you call it, God, the divine, Jesus, universe, whatever you call it, source energy. We're made from that. We're created in that image. And to me, that's the blessing and the gift, is to express that. So for me, there is a spiritual component for this. And I tend to attract a lot of those ambitious leaders that have accomplished a lot, but there's something missing. And it might be around a relationship, their health. Often it's a goal in their business, or starting a business. And for me, I mean, even though I have a background in health and wellness and in mindfulness, I do work with a lot of entrepreneurs because I get it after 10 years. I know what that's like. It takes a lot of courage, a lot. And the root of courage, by the way, in French is cœur, which is heart. It takes a lot of heart, and it takes a lot of, I think, grit and resilience. You know this, you've gone through this. I mean, I remember when we worked together. I mean, the other pieces, I remember seeing that in you. I was like, this person is a badass. You're a powerhouse. So one of my gifts, I do believe, is intuition and being able to kind of see that bigger picture for people when there's a goal or a dream. I just can feel it and see it. And that, to help someone live into it, is like literally one of my greatest joys, hands down. And it doesn't feel like work. It just doesn't.
That's so cool. So do you have a process for that?
For the visioning, or you mean for coaching?
For coaching, like when somebody comes to you,
Yeah.
do you have like, all right, week 1, we're going to do this. Week 2, we're going to do this.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do and I don't. I mean, I have, as you probably read earlier, so much training, and I have a framework for coaching that I use. But I really take each person individually. So each person, and I frankly, I do lean on my intuition quite a bit, as well as the coaching piece, and really listening deeply for what it is. For example, with you, like what was most important to you. And I mean, you're living it now. This is what makes me happier. And I'm not saying you've done many other things to accomplish that. What I'm thrilled of is, I'm like, as we're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember we had talked about a podcast, which is a whole other story, Eric, which is so funny.
We're going to start one together.
You and I were going to start one together, and we were like, I'm so like pink and gold. How are we going to do that?
No, I chickened out. You went through with it, and I chickened out.
It's
That's
all
what happened.
good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all meant to be. But yeah, I saw this for you, and I was like, I know this. I know this can be possible. And sometimes having somebody who, yes, there is a framework of asking questions and helping to get, there's action involved in your goals out. There's also, I think, and it's an important piece, and I know you do this too, is holding that vision with somebody, like literally holding that. And it is a gift. I do see it, I do feel it, I do sense it. And it's amazing, because the minute I can see it, like with you, I was like, oh yeah, no, I know. Speaker, author, podcaster, TEDx, like community, whatever you want to do, I can see it. So it's powerful, powerful work. And I would say, like, for all of us, not to underestimate the power of when you are actually aligned with something that's within you. Like, we don't all have the same goals, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
How do people, I'm trying to formulate this question, but how do people realize that what they're living doesn't have to be their reality? You know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
want more, they're not sure how they're going to do it. So it's like, well, this is just meant to be this way.
Yeah.
If God wanted me to have more, God would allow me to have more. Right. Like,
yes. So you got to be very careful. First of all, our words are generative and creative. So what you're saying, it might sound hokey. It's not. You start to form thoughts, you start to form energy around them. So watch what you're saying, not like from fear, because you don't want to come from fear. But watch out, because that whole like, oh, it's just this way, I can't change it. That can become a whole story that you start to tell yourself. And what I would say is, my friend, it is time to rip that up and write a new story. Literally, we get to write the story we're living. So everything we're living in our life it's a movie screen. It's a reflection of what we're thinking and feeling. It just is. So what you want to start doing is looking at what has manifested that I love, and reverse engineer that. What happened? How did I get there? Oh, interesting. It was not through being a jackass. It was actually through being a really like open, curious person. I was kind. I was like, I put energy into that. I believed in it. Maybe there's prayer or gratitude is a exponential growth aspect. If you add gratitude to something, it's going to help it grow. But you got to look at what's manifesting. If there's something you don't like, don't make that. It's very easy to say that's who I am. That's just how it is. I've been there too. You've got to really look at it under a microscope and understand, no, it's just the movie on the projector. You got to go back to the projector, go look at the film. What are you saying? What are you believing? What are you doing? Who are you hanging around with? What are you watching? Honestly, all of this matters, all of it. We don't realize, well, maybe we do, maybe you do. We're contagious. Our energy is contagious. I mean, that's Jim Rohn, his quote, you are the sum, the average of the 5 people you hang around most with. That's kind of saying something there. I love Jim Rohn, by the way. He was one of my first favorite.
He's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Right. So that's an important one to get. It's the same thing with like, what kinds of information content are you digesting? Are you finding yourself angry all the time because of what you're reading? Maybe like look at that. Look at who you're around. Are they, it's like the crabs in the bucket. I don't love that example, but having lived in Maryland now for a little while, crabs are big here, and I'm learning like crabs are a thing. And crabs, what they do in the bucket, they like pull the crab down that's trying to get up. So you want to be with people. I don't know what animal this would be. I don't know. It would be like maybe what puts them on their shoulders. You want like, you want with people that are going to help push you up, that are going to help support you and see the best in you. You are one of the best at this of anyone I know.
Thank
naturally.
you.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate that. The film example that you give, I usually, the way I explain it is, how, like right now, I'm all interested in what's happening with Donald Trump and all that. And I've been watching these videos on like the shorts on Facebook of a ton of like Black people now supporting Donald Trump. Cause I'm loving this, like, they're coming together and they're like, oh, the system is messing with him like it's messed with the Black people in America. He's one of us now, right? And so I watched like 3 or 4 videos. If you look at my video feed right now, that's all that pops up. All that pops up is those types of videos about some kind of a Black community supporting Donald Trump. Like I'm almost thinking that that's what's happening in America everywhere now, because that's all that's on my feed, right? And that's going to be the same for you. Watch a couple of clips that you like to watch on Facebook, and guess what's going to happen? It's just going to bombard you with those types of clips because Facebook wants you in their platform and knows what you like, and it gives you more of what you watch. And so when you're saying, hey, we're just looking at the screen, I feel like that's exactly what happens in our life. Like, we think about something and then life gives us more of that thing.
Yes. And so here's the key is, so those things that you're getting, the like tangibles, if you don't like it, it doesn't mean that's who you are. It's always going to be like that. You got to look at the source. What created the thoughts that got that there? Right. So I'm laughing because I have been really obsessed. I don't know why right now. 2 things. I have a cat that I love. So I have like cat videos, which is embarrassing, but it's
only
true.
One cat though, or a lot of cats?
No, just one. And she's a queen, and we're only gonna get one. Just one. And protein powder. I'm obsessed with protein powder right now because I tend to go on the run a lot. And I just we won't even go there. I like literally know like 20 different amazing protein powders. So what do I see in my feed? I'm seeing protein powders. That's what I'm seeing. So
cats snorting protein powder. That's what I'm getting out of it.
Oh my gosh, hilarious. And I didn't even like cats before this one. That's the funny thing. So that was a blind spot. I thought, I don't really, not into them. They're actually, if you get the right one, super cute. But what I will say is the reticular activating system. I'm sure you've heard of this. The RAS is what it's called. It's basically what you focus on expands. So what you are spending your intentional time. We are so powerful as creators. This is the thing. I don't know that. I mean, I have to remind myself of this daily. That's where, writing about what you're grateful for, looking at what is working well. It's important because it like turns the volume up on the energy within you that's saying, oh, I want more of that. Thank you. Yeah. More blessings, please. Yes. More financial stability, more amazing clients, more opportunities. So when you say thank you, just think of it as turning the volume up on what you have. So we want to turn the volume up on what we have. The things that we don't enjoy, we want to turn the volume down. So it's important to turn the volume down means you're not going to overly focus on it or make it mean anything. You're going to look at it and say, okay, all right, let me look at this. What's going on within me that created that? Because I'm a powerful creator, just as you are. We all are. So what in me is creating that? All right. I can see I've been, and really like we're that powerful. It's important to look and see, okay, maybe, I've been a little bit impatient and I've made decisions just because I was impatient. I mean, that's the bad example, but there's always a thought that predated that manifestation. There's a meaning you made, there's a thought that you had, there's an emotion you had, and you amplified it.
Okay, two things on that. When you're working with people, how important is it to figure out what they've been thinking to get them the results that they have? Because most of those thoughts, they don't know they're having. It's subconscious, right? So
Huge.
how can somebody actually do the work to bring that to the forefront? And two, is that important to even do?
Oh yeah. This is just so important. I'm trying to think of a great metaphor. It's actually, I know I'll share later the tool set I have. It's the first tool. And one of the tools I always use with clients and myself, is to really look at what you are saying to yourself. And what's a great practice is to just get a notebook or your phone, the notes, and like literally just start jotting down. You don't have to get every thought you're saying to yourself because we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts. You get 20 thoughts, 30 thoughts, you start to get a sense, oh, wow, I'm saying this, I'm saying this. You want to look at it because this is the internal, it's like a microphone that's going nonstop inside yourself. And you want to see what you're saying to yourself. You want to see, is this supportive or not? Because what happens is over and over again, if we keep hearing it, we start to think it's true. That's the problem. And if you start to think that's true and you're believing these thoughts that are frankly throwaway thoughts, that are crappy thoughts that are not true, but feel true, then you start creating the circuitry in your mind. That's that whole neuroplasticity. That's wiring and firing. What fires together wires together, the neurons. This is real deal. So, and I'm sure anyone listening probably has heard about this. It's just, we can forget because it can seem so real. Like this thing keeps happening over and over again. Okay, we got to look at, what are you thinking? What are you saying to yourself? What's the story here? And I just did a little open house last night for my coaching program, and I was coaching someone who I don't know. And it was so cool, Eric. I could see the gears in her mind, literally, like, she was like, I don't know what just happened, but that something just happened. I'm seeing it different. I go, yeah, because you're seeing that those thoughts are just not really true. And by the way, when you're trained, like what I've done, you can also start to read the other person's body energy. And you can see we store our emotions and our feelings in our body and our thoughts in our body. So that's a whole other conversation, but you can actually, what's called muscle testing, you can actually use your body to really tune in if this is true or not for you. And often we say things that if you actually sat with it or tested it, is not true.
Yeah, that's so cool. So once you have that list written out, what do you
Yeah.
do with it then?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like you have the list. Great. That's fun. Go home. We're done.
Because at this point, you still think that's true, right? Because how do most people do it? Oh,
Right.
I'll give you a sales example, right? Somebody went on a sales call, didn't work out good enough. Oh, I suck at sales, right? And
Right.
boom, I suck. I suck. I suck. So now this list is written out. What do you do
Right.
then?
Right. So what you want to look at, first of all, I love the whole, if you've read Mindset by Carol Dweck, it's this idea, it's really the two camps. Thoughts go in two camps, two
I only
cups, two
read two
buckets.
books, Julie. They're right here, and I read one, then the other, and I alternate them. I have no time for any Carol Becks. You understand?
Carol Dweck, you are so funny.
Whatever.
You are so funny. You are hilarious. I love it. So Carol Dweck, Mindset, really good book, lots of science in there. And basically I'll boil it down for you. We're either coming from a growth mindset or fixed. Growth mindset is, I'm open, I'm willing to look at this different. I'm not a failure when I fail. Like I just am learning. It's all of that appreciative inquiry, positive psychology, and frankly, getting that we can change and grow,
Mhm.
growth mindset. Fixed mindset is I suck. This is not going to change. It's always been this way. It's never changed before. It's not going to. I keep seeing this over and over again. So the first thing you want to do, and that's actually what I have in this tool, is you want to start putting them in buckets. What's in growth? What's in fixed? It's a really easy way. If you're visual, you could do like, a X and a check mark. If it's growth, we want to look at that, because if a lot of these, because just notice, even separating those thoughts, now it's like, oh, now we're starting to systematize them. Oh, you know what? That's interesting. These thoughts they don't have the same weight. Some are growth, some are fixed. Now you can start to see, okay, wait, do I want to be a fixed mindset person? Is that helping? And so when you see it, I think that's so powerful for people. I know it is for me. I can see in like pen and paper or in the notes, oh, that's interesting. That's not really, no, that's I don't want to come from that angle. So even if you feel it, a good coach will help you look at it and say, okay, well, how do you want to look at this then? Let's say, I go to the gym and I tend to do oh, I'm not feeling as like fit as I could be. And I don't like how my arms look, my bicep, whatever. This is the
I say
story.
that
Actually,
mirrors are broken.
yeah, the mirrors are broken.
There's no way I look that bad.
There's no way. Yeah, exactly. That is hilarious. Right. And hey, you know what? That might work for you. Um,
Leadership principle number one, always blame somebody else.
right. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I have done this shift for myself. I realized how many fixed mindset. The gym is a great microcosm. If you want to go look at your thoughts, go to the gym. At least for me, I see a lot of thoughts. I'm like, oh wow, that's fixed. Well, that's really fixed. And actually, one of the I've been really playful about it. I started to look at these thoughts and I'm like, oh, this is not working. This is not who I am. I don't want to be saying this shitty stuff to myself. Like, no, I don't say it to anybody else. I'm not going to do it to myself. And I started to just look at them and then just tweak them a little bit. And it made a huge difference. I actually like going to the gym now. And when I look in the mirror, I just send some love and I'm thrilled that I can move, honestly, like grateful I can move. So you got to look and see, are they in the fixed or the growth mindset buckets?
Mhm.
And then the ones that are in the fix, that's where I would say working with somebody to help you start to change them. Everything is changeable.
Oh, I love that. You know what? For me, it's very empowering because where I come from when I look at that is if we're looking at it like a movie scene, right? And so
Right.
this thought, right? I'm not good enough. I suck. Well, because of that thought, it creates a reality that exists in
Yes,
my life that I don't want.
that's right.
And the empowering part is knowing that I was able to create that just by
Yep.
having the wrong film.
Yeah.
So if I could create that, what can I not create?
Yeah. That's a great.
Right? And it's
Never heard it
so
said that way.
powerful. It's so powerful because it's like it shows you how much of a creator you are. Once you go back and you do that list and you work, it's a hard fucking list, by the way. It's I
Yeah.
had to do that and I stalled for weeks. I didn't want to do it because you start realizing the crap you tell yourself. Like you wouldn't even tell that to your worst enemy.
Mm-mm.
And it happens so silently and it happens like it's very cunning. It just slips by and like,
Yep.
oh, you'll never get this to work.
Something you just said is really important. Because I got this like, woof, this feeling in my stomach, like we're in a really important topic. I hope someday that this is something that is taught like early on in school, honestly, because this what we're talking about and seeing like, oh, I created that and I can create this. This is where you start to take your power back. And, without going way deep into, I think it's very easy to get conditioned in our society that we don't have power and that we, don't know and not to trust your intuition or inner self and don't feel this and do these. And it's like, wait a minute, we all have guidance inside. We all have the right and the ability to design and live a life we love. It's going to look different for all of us. And if you don't know that you have that power or you don't believe it, you are what you believe. I think it was Henry Ford. I'm getting the quote wrong right now, but it's basically, yeah, it's to the tune of, if you believe it, it's so, right? It's like what you believe is really powerful. So kind of taking
Isn't that
back
James Allen, as a man thinketh? As a
yeah,
man thinketh, so is he. That's how the
that's
book
right.
starts. Great
Yeah.
book.
That's another book. So you have read other books. That's really cool.
Before you wrote these.
Right before.
Now I don't read any other books. Just uh, yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, so now you're not just coaching people, you also have a coaching certification program where coaches or people who want to become coaches can get certified through you. Tell me about that. What is that program like?
Yeah. So I think you probably can tell I'm obsessed with this work. This and I've done other kinds of personal growth and development. Coaching changed my life. I've seen it change many lives. I continue to get coached. It's so powerful. And I've been teaching at Georgetown for years. I teach their coaching fundamentals. I've taught how to start a coaching business. I just this work is it's being used in companies and teams. I've used it with the military, with the government, with companies and leaders. And I honestly, Eric, I woke up in the beginning of the pandemic and I just had this strong urge to do something that was going to help people to feel empowered and to help others. And all I can tell you is it felt like this greater soul nudge that was like, I basically sounded like Julie, go start a coaching certification. And I
Nice.
don't F around. I don't F around when I hear that or sense that. I'm like, okay, I don't know who is talking to me, but it feels it feels right. It feels peaceful. It feels like right on. And I was like, I'm doing it. I follow that. That is literally everything in my business and life. I try to follow that. So yeah, it's a 4 month and really experiential intensive program. I've had students from all over the world. And what's just beautiful is I'm bringing in the coaching foundation that I have. And then I've brought in so many other aspects like mind body science and the healing arts. And then, as you heard, I'm certified with the Heart Math Institute. So I've brought in science and teachings and tools and practices from there that really help you to access your intuition, the greater field around you. Your heart has intelligence, believe it or not. We use that. I teach how to trust your intuition, but it's also very, very grounded in a coaching framework. And I've developed my own, but it comes from what I've been trained in and what I've been teaching for years. And it's just, the thing I've been seeing is it's as much of a certification program as it is a personal development transformative program. You cannot go through it. You're getting coached throughout it. You will learn to coach. You have a practicum. I can like spare all the details, but it's pretty intense. It is something that, I feel very confident after going through it. You will feel comfortable and confident to coach others. And I think it's important. This is really, dare I say, sacred work. That's how I see it.
Who is this program not for?
It is, that's a good question. Like my brain's like, not for. I always think of who it is for. That's a great one. I would say somebody who is a fixed mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, if you are not open to growth, if you don't want to help people, I mean, honestly, and that's fine. If you don't want to work with others, either one-on-one or groups, if that's not your thing, then I would say this is not for you. If you know,
But if
yeah.
somebody's never coached before and they're looking at different coaching programs, this could be a good program to even start for the very basic beginner, or is it for advanced coaches?
So this is what has had me floored is I originally, you were learning the A through Z's of coaching. I mean, and then
Yeah.
I also have a lot of resources how to start a business with it. It's important because I didn't have that. And I feel
Yeah,
like,
you can be the best coach and never get a client.
oh yeah. And then what are you doing? You're a coach who doesn't coach, which is so sad because this work is powerful. So I thought this is for people. And I've had many students who had not coached or been coached before, but they are the types that others come to that confide in, that talk to. It's like I always say, are you wearing a sign that says, come talk to me? Or they feel comfortable sharing with you, or you're someone who's a good listener, or you really believe in the potential of others. You want to see people accomplish their dreams and goals, like that, all of that I think is a prerequisite. However, what I did not realize, I've had a ton of coaches who are trained as coaches. Brendan Burchard's program, Tony Robbins, like really coaches who've gone through these certifications, who said, I really want to add to my toolbox. I want to refine my skills. I want to go more into, because I do go into the mind body science, the intuition aspect. So I would say almost 40 to 50% are coaches, which is wild. I did not expect that. But the other 50 to 60%, are not. So it's been great, because I think you draw from the collective wisdom of everybody.
Mm.
A lot of, and I've had like doctors, lawyers, a lot of real estate agents. It's so interesting, Eric.
Really?
It's,
Why are they going through? Because they want to coach or improve
yeah,
their, they want to
yeah.
coach.
I had a cardiologist, I'm sorry, anesthesiologist. She's amazing. She heard of me through John Lee Dumas's Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast, and she's in the DC area. She serves a minority population. She's amazing, African American anesthesiologist, and she's like, I want to use this with my patients.
Mm.
I want to. She's badass, and also I had a psychotherapist who said, I want to be able to use this in my groups. She very well trained, and I just interviewed her. She talks about this. She loved it. She's like, this is similar, but it's different. I had a lawyer who uses it with his clients, his estate clients. I mean, it's just amazing, because this work, it's transferable. You can use it in so many different ways. You don't have to go like you or I become a full-time coach. You
Yeah.
can do this on the side. You can use it. I've had people in real estate use it. It helps with sales. Actually, that's the funny thing. I did not realize,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of having the sales background, me having zero sales background, I've actually found, coaching actually kind of goes into sales. Isn't that cool? It was very backwards for me. Yeah,
Because everybody thinks sales is all about talking, and
it's listening.
it's not. It's listening, and coaching is being 100% present, making sure the
Yeah.
other person is the most important person in the world at that time, and
Yeah.
listening intuitively.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, because when I was getting certified as a coach, I had a full-time job as a director of sales. So I would be having one-on-one meetings. I'd be having meetings with sales reps, and I would use these coaching techniques on them. And it worked so much better than managing them. It was
Yep.
just, I mean, it transformed the relationship. It transformed business growth. So look, if you haven't even thought about coaching as a profession, but you're in a leadership role where you're having one-on-ones with your team, where others are coming to you and you're managing them or leading people, I guarantee you that if you go through this program, your team is going to transform. You're going to be able to transform people like you've never been able to before. And I know it may not make sense, but trust me on this. It's just incredible. How much is your program, by the way?
Yeah. So it's $59.97 for the whole program, which, if you know anything about coaching
$59. You can
programs,
borrow that from your kids. I'm kidding.
it's
I'm
just under
kidding.
6,000. I know, the little 97, but most programs are 10 to 25,000. It's
Sure.
really important to me to make this doable. I have a payment plan. Something you said, actually, it just made me remember, recently we just had a cohort that graduated and finished, and what I keep hearing, and I'm like, I forgot about this. It's not so it can absolutely transform your teams, your whatever company group you're working with, also relationships with your spouse, with your kids, your family. Seriously, that actually has been one of the things that's been most heartening, is I'm like, oh my gosh, that really makes me so happy to know this work. It's transformative across the board.
Yeah. So if you have one of those uncoachable wives or uncoachable husbands who just, this is your chance right here. You can transform them.
You are so funny.
I'm
Oh my
kidding.
God.
I'm kidding. Julie,
Kidding.
you have a gift for our guests. What are you leaving behind for our amazing listeners?
Yeah. And I just want to, first of all, shout out to you, because I think you, as a coach, as a host, as a human being, as a friend, you are living what we're talking about. This being present, being, in your heart, being really with the other person and seeing what's possible. You live and breathe this. And we need more of you in the world is all I can
Thank you
say.
so much. I really appreciate that.
True. We need more of you. Yes. So I am giving away, if you're watching, I'll show it. If you're listening, just pretend you're seeing it. It's a tool set to design your best life. And actually the first tool is, there's one for every day of the week, which if I do my math right, that is 7.
If you're living in present calendar day, sure.
If you're living in the,
if you're more enlightened, you could probably get this thing done in like 3 days.
I am not a mathematician, but it is 7.
7.
So let's see. You can see. I'll walk
Yeah,
you
day
through
1.
quickly. Yeah, day one is exactly what we were saying. It's mindset, and there is a tracking here that helps you to look at your thoughts and to see if it's growth or fix. It's really it's also, this is virtual, online as well, so you have a document that you can use to do this. And I have a whole day. There's a day on curiosity to start like changing your mindset. Curiosity is a great way to do that. There's a day on presence where I have a meditation and a mindfulness grounding that's in there. There's also one on your calendar to look at, what am I living the priorities? Like, am I saying that it's important to be healthy, but I'm never going to the gym? So it's really, really powerful. These are the tools I use myself and that I've used with clients. And I've one on values. You create a manifesto, and there's a lot more in there. There's like a lot packed into the almost 40 pages.
That's awesome. And so here's what we did. I created a Relentless Goal Achievers arsenal that you can get access to. And right now in that arsenal, there's 14 downloadable tools that will help you improve your life, will help you improve sales, communications, your business. One of those tools is Julie's toolkit for your life. So the link is in the description for Relentless Goal Achievers Arsenal. Get in there. And by the way, as we have guests coming on the show and they leave behind their cool tools, we're going to put it in there. So it's constantly going to get updated. That's my gift to you for listening and being a listener for the show. Also, if you haven't yet, get over to Relentless Goal Achievers community on Facebook. Join it so we can connect a little bit better. I'd love to meet you, love to know who you are. And yeah, Julie, thank you. My dear Julie, for being here. Thank you for changing and transforming my life and what you do in the world. I've sent some very close people to me, to Julie, for coaching, because as a coach, there's some people that I will coach and others that she's probably going to do a way better job with. So that's what we do. Follow Julie, juliereisler.com. Where else can people find you?
Yeah. And I want to say thank you. It's an honor. And we all are, I say it this way, they're all different kinds of coaches and we all fit different people. So you really, I just appreciate who you are and your support. Yes, to find me, juliereisler.com. That's a good one. On YouTube, which is just YouTube/Julie Reisler. And then I have a ton of talks and meditations. If anyone's like, yeah, I could use a little more just calm and peace inside, on Insight Timer. There's a lot of free stuff on there. And then usually Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can find me. Just type in my name and you'll see me and the You-est You and get a PhD. It's all there.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Tune in next week. We got a new episode that comes out every single Tuesday. If you liked it, hit the like button, share it with your mom, and subscribe. Thanks for being here. Love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.